Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight I'll be working off the flagship 675 machine, and this evening we are linked in with the following repeaters: Lookout Mountain, Blue Ridge, Somerville, Noonan, Jersey, McDonough, Crawford, Columbus, Zebulon, Moreland, and the VoIP server, also known as Zello. Our RF coverage tonight is approximately 56,000 square miles. Holy cow. I'm still impressed by that. Your net control this evening is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin, and I'm located right here in Studio B, Woodstock, Georgia. On the net, we can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear about. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to discuss, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. At this time, let me go ahead and acknowledge our early bird check-ins. We had quite a few of them, and let's go ahead and get that roster read through here fairly quickly. Let me break. All right, we had Gainesville 285, CV Smith from Murrayville, in and out. Gainesville 286, Lynn, also in Murrayville, in and out. We had Atlanta 948, Gary in Woodstock, in and out. We've got Atlanta 253, Donald in Blairsville is in tonight. Atlanta 299, Steve in Roswell is in tonight. Atlanta 434, Ron incoming is in this evening. Atlanta 810, John in Dawsonville, in this evening. Atlanta 811, Victoria, also in Dawsonville, in. Atlanta 538, Rob incoming is in. Gainesville 117, Damon in Murrayville, I've got you in for the evening. Atlanta 780, Houston in Powder Springs is in tonight. We have McDonough 22, Tim in Stockbridge, in tonight. Atlanta 417, William in Auburn is in and out. Thank you, William. McDonough 39, Bruce in Stockbridge is in and out. Thank you, Bruce. Atlanta 721, David in southwest Paulding County is in this evening. Thank you, David, for your check-in. Let me see. I'm multitasking here, so that makes me ramble a bit. I've got Gainesville 120, Emmeline in Murrayville, in and out tonight. Thank you, Emmeline, for checking in. I've got Atlanta 586, Paul in Dallas is in tonight. And I've got Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch is in and out. That brings me next to Atlanta 587, Leah in Dallas, in tonight. And I've got Atlanta 1107, John. I didn't catch your location, John. We'll fix that later. Got you in tonight. Atlanta 750, Jeff in Waleska is in and out. Atlanta 42, Andre in Winder, in and out. Thank you for checking in tonight. Chattanooga 55, Doug in Eastridge, also in and out. Thank you, Doug. Atlanta 1402, Todd incoming is in the log tonight. And Atlanta 1403, Krista, and 1404, Jessica are in and out. Atlanta 1140, Troy is the last one on my list, in tonight. And with that, Net Control will stand by for additional check-ins. Any repeater, anywhere.
This is Atlanta 69, Michael, WRHS 306, talking from Midtown Atlanta off the flagship repeater. Checking in and out. Have a good one, Justin.
This is Atlanta 800, WRKY 680, Chad in Adairsville, checking in.
WRAT 241, Atlanta 403. Bobby, Lake County, checking in on Zello. No RF tonight. Conditions are bad over in this area. A lot of rain. But I'll be monitoring the YouTube feed.
This WRM1 Blue Ridge 24, it's Don in Blairsville. I'll be in and out.
WRMG 494, Atlanta 292, Derek in Rockmart, checking in, checking out.
This is.
This is Chattanooga 100, Bob in Catoosa County, usually Ringgold. Checking in. I didn't catch what the topic is, but we'll see if I'm still here.
This is. This is WRAH 210, Atlanta 442, Ted Nugent. Just kidding, it's Craig in Ackworth. Check me in and out. I'm doing some stuff out here in the shop, so I'm just going to listen tonight.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have here. We have Atlanta 69 Michael in Midtown, in and out. Great to hear from you, Michael. Hope that your recovery is going rapidly and smoothly. I heard through the grapevine that you might be doing that. Atlanta 800, Chad in Adairsville. I've got you in the log tonight. Looking forward to talking with you. Excuse me, Atlanta 403, Bobby checking in on Zello. Conditions are rough. We had some weather blow through here earlier tonight, but it was just wet stuff. Nothing of any significance. It's chilly out there, but I think it's in high 30s, 38, 39 degrees. So I don't think there's any risk of any fluffy stuff coming from the sky at this moment here. But it's a big region, and weather conditions are different throughout, so who knows what's going on in other parts. I've got Blue Ridge 24, Don in Blairsville, in and out. Great to hear from you, Don. I've got Atlanta 292, Derek in Rockmart, in and out. Thank you, Derek, for your check-in. I've got I believe it was Chattanooga 100, and you know, the autofill kind of messes me up sometimes. Chattanooga 100, Bob in Ringgold, in this evening. Looking forward to chatting with you. And I have Atlanta 442, Craig Nugent in Ackworth, in and out tonight. Appreciate you hanging out, listening in as you tinker about in the garage. Okay, so let me go ahead and break one more time for additional check-ins, and we'll kick this thing into gear. And I'm not hearing any additional check-ins, so I guess that's my cue to get right at it here. So that's what we're going to do. That's good stuff. All right, well, before we jump into things here and get back to our log, a couple of things that I wanted to discuss. First and foremost, we are in our membership drive period. January is always the time when we are in pursuit of as many new renewal members as we can get. We do hope that we've earned your interest in retaining a membership with North Georgia GMRS, and would absolutely invite you to make your renewal. if you have a reason that, a financial reason that you're not able to renew at this time, please reach out to Gary. We do have a means of sponsoring some members and coming up with alternative means of providing a membership for those that are struggling, whether it be a payment plan, whether it be a sponsored membership, whatever it is, it will be handled discreetly. You and Gary will be the only ones that have any knowledge of any arrangements that are made. So we don't want to leave anybody behind. We want you all here and able to participate and engage on the net and in other radio activities through the week, and we don't want to leave anybody behind. So please, if you're not able to pay for your membership at this time, but you're interested in remaining a member, then contact Gary and arrangements can be made. Otherwise, I think the other thing that I want to share with folks, we're in this interim period of January where memberships are due. Anyone who has decided they don't want to continue to be a member of North Georgia GMRS, and there will be many, we're going to keep you in the roster throughout the remainder of January, and in anticipation that you may renew. And if come February we haven't seen a renewal or any communication about your interest in remaining a member, then we're going to assume that you no longer wish to be a part of North Georgia GMRS. And at that time, your name will be removed from the roster, and your TAC number will be available to be issued to someone else. So there again, if you do want to stay in and you want to preserve your TAC number as assignment, let us know that's what you want to do. And like I say, whether it be if you're not going to be able to pay until February or something, just let us know so that we don't reassign your TAC number. Now, we're not going to go through and immediately assign TAC numbers just because you're gone. If there are other numbers available, we'll probably use those up. But we ran out of TAC numbers to assign here toward the end of the year and began issuing 4-digit numbers. We're going to avoid that wherever we can and try to stick back with the 3-digit numbers. So you could very well lose your TAC number if you don't communicate with us or renew by the end of the month. So I just want to make it clear to folks that's the way that we've done this in the past and what we intend to do this time around. And like I say, we don't want to leave anybody behind. So if you have an interest and you're struggling for whatever reason, Christmas gets expensive and those bills come due in January, if that's the reason that you haven't renewed, let us know. We can work with that. We definitely want to keep folks on the roster if we can. So that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was this craziness that happened on I-95 in Virginia. Somebody told me once that disaster is what happens to people when they are not prepared. And, that's exactly the case here. You're stuck on the highway because you weren't prepared for the weather. You weren't prepared for the circumstance. You weren't prepared and concerned that you didn't have enough fuel in the car. That's preparation. You were concerned that, about being stuck on the highway. That's preparation. If when we had the bad weather come in, was it 6 years ago? We had Snowmageddon here in Atlanta. Weather had hit and people were scrambling to go home, and my boss was insisting that I get out of the building and get on a bus, and I chose not to. I remained in the building because I had a warm, comfortable building and an uncomfortable floor to sleep on, but I had food, had restrooms, and I had shelter and provisions, whereas he spent 18 hours on a bus stuck on the side of the highway without any restroom facilities. That's preparation. Let me break. So all of these things are to say that disaster is what happens to the unprepared, and to the prepared, when circumstances that are challenging like weather come about, being prepared is the difference between having a disaster and having a story. And we all enjoy stories. None of us enjoy disasters. So, that's where things stand. So that brings me to a topic I wanted to bring up tonight. In addition to, our evening's topic is 2022 goals and ambitions. So this is kind of a little sideline that I'm taking us on here momentarily. And I'm doing this because I just learned of an opportunity within our membership that I'd like to capitalize on. And that is, we have in the membership of North Georgia GMRS a family who has created a store, and one of their functions of selling product is selling product for being prepared. So they have food products, long-term storage kind of stuff. They have survival stuff. They have survivalist camping equipment, water filtration. So all kinds of resources available, and I wanted to take an opportunity to talk with Paul and Leah about some of the things that their store has to offer. So I'm not sure which one is going to come on tonight to discuss this, but either one got a series of questions for you. So why don't you come on and introduce the store and talk a little bit about it first.
So this is ATL 587. This is Leah. Our company is Alpha Trio Firearms, but he was correct. We do offer everything for long-term food storage, water filtration, anything you need to prepare for when the end comes.
Wait a minute. We're not talking about the end, are we? I was just talking about bad weather and, when stuff gets ugly, but I didn't know anything about the end coming.
It may not be when the good Lord comes back, but Biden's still in there. So we're still trying to prepare for the worst and hoping for the best.
Well, and that's the key is, preparation. And as I said a moment ago, that's the difference between, a disaster and a story. And so, for all those folks that got into their car and jumped on I-95 in that snowstorm and got stuck there for crazy long periods of time, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened. But, we and people were complaining that, no one from the government came to rescue them. Well, you know what? That's not their job. It's their job to keep the roads clear, but, obviously the government fails time and time again. They fail at so many things. They spend money poorly. They do things 10 times worse than any other entity could possibly do it. So if we're counting on the government to save our lives, they'll save our lives in the worst possible way. And so we need to count on ourselves. And to do that, we need to be prepared. So part of preparation is having, a period of food available. For instance, if we had bad weather that shut the Atlanta region down for 7 to 10 days, as we have had happen in the past, are you prepared? And what are your preparations? And perhaps we can lean on Paul and Leah to supply us with some of those resources.
Well, this is Paul, Atlanta 586 WNY 931. Glad that you guys are all here to hear us. Appreciate everybody hearing what we have to say. We do offer a lot of different things for everybody. Honestly, I mean, we both came from working from different gun stores and survival aspect. We've both been preppers for, golly, almost 40. Since I've been doing this since I was about 15 to 16 years old, and just getting more and more into it. And it comes to the fact that like he said, there's nobody going to come out there and save you. I mean, you cannot count on somebody else to save you. So it's a fellowship of community. You've got to have a line of communication for everybody. You've got to have a community. You got to have supplies. Now, whether, a lot of this stuff is expensive. And the biggest thing I've always said is prepping ain't easy. And Atlanta 721 can attest to that, David. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of collaboration. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of unfortunately, money. But it's just a little bit here and there. That's what you got to do. And that's why we started our company, because, yeah, you can buy a gun and stuff like that, but if you don't know how to operate that specific gun, or that, you know, if you buy food and stuff like that, if you don't know how to prepare it, then it's really no good to you. The biggest thing is having a plan. You got to have a plan in place, and just go with that plan. And me and Justin talked not too long ago, I believe it was yesterday. Just, you got to have a plan with everybody. Like, comms is awesome. I mean, North Georgia GMRS has treated us great. I've got to learn a lot of y'all's names, got to do a lot of cool stuff, but comms is only one part of it. You got to have the food, you got to have power. I mean, you got to power the radios. So, I mean, we do offer stuff like generators. We also offer solar options. I mean, we kind of try to cover the entire aspect of prepping, because firearms don't really bring that much in. It's more the accessories and stuff like that, but we're not looking to make money. We're looking to actually put this out there for more Americans and people such as yourselves to be more prepared. Because, I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, we're all going to be a family at one point. We're going to have to restart from something if it does happen. And all this stuff is an if. But at that point, you want to be prepared for that if.
No, that's a good point, Paul. And you know, and that's the one thing that brings a lot of us together here is, you know, many of us were looking for alternative communication, so that if something happened and the cell network went down, because that happens, we've seen it happen a handful of times, where, you know, a software glitch will cause phones to, you know, you can text but you can't call, or you can, you know, part of it works and part of it doesn't. And so, you know, what happens if it's more than a glitch, or if it's a bigger glitch and we can't even use our phones? You know, we had this thing in Nashville happen with the telephone company building damaged, and that knocked out communications for a region for a period of time. So, you know, there are a number of things that can happen that can be, you know, maybe not much worse than inconvenient, maybe stressful, but there again, being prepared and having alternative communications such as our GMRS radios on this fabulous network that we all enjoy is one step. But is it enough? And that's one thing that 947 and I have had conversations about here, is, do we have enough? Well, we got some stuff here, but you know, if there was an extended period of time that we had to bridge, we don't have enough. I don't have enough. So that's something that we need to look at ourselves, is some long-term sustainability supply, so that we can be self-sufficient for a period of time while we wait for the government to straighten things out. And, you know, how long does that take? Well, I guess that depends on what happens. If it's a snowstorm, it might be a week or two while we're waiting for the weather to change. If it's an earthquake, or if it's some other big natural disaster, you know, there's no way to know what the level of damage and what the level of infrastructure is going to take from that. So there again, it's disaster is the difference between being prepared and having a story, or being a victim because you weren't prepared. So Leah and Paul, if you would please, the name of your company and how do we contact you?
So the company name is Alpha Trio Firearms, and I can be reached all day, every day at 678-982-0352 or at 678-471-2722 for everything you need. And one small thing I wanted to point out, too, is when disaster strikes, people tend to overlook the smaller things that you don't think about, you don't necessarily prepare for because you're used to having certain items around the house. And that is one of the most important aspects of prepping, is you have to prep everything because you never know. Like, water is important, alcohol is important, like rubbing alcohol, you know, for wounds and whatnot. But there's so many smaller aspects that we all have to come through as a community, and we sell med kits, everything that you need to be prepared for.
Well, that's interesting. I got excited when you mentioned alcohol, but then you said rubbing alcohol, and it kind of deflated my balloon. But so Alpha Trio, and I'm going to ask you to give the numbers again here in a moment because my pen ran out of ink right after 6, 7, 8. So, by the way, do you know why 6 is afraid of 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
That is perfect. Perfect answer. All right. I love that. All right. So that's good stuff. And so, folks, this is an opportunity within our own community. We can support our friends and neighbors right here in North Georgia GMRS, and we can help ourselves at the same time. So, and like Paul and Leah have pointed out, you know, it can be overwhelming. It can be expensive. It can be, you know, if you have decided, well, I've got 6 people in my family and I need to have 6 weeks worth of food, holy cow, that's a lot of money. You know what? Start off with a week, and then maybe next month you buy another week, and then the month after that, you don't have to do it all at once. You can build this up incrementally over time. Don't be put off by the term prepper, because being prepared is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a crazy survivalist. It makes you smart. Being prepared is the difference between a disaster and a story, and we all like stories. So I think that this is a wonderful resource to have within our community, and I just wanted to take a moment and make us all aware that this opportunity is here. We've got some other folks in this that can help us out too. We've got Alfonso. I can't remember his TAC 912, I believe, is his TAC number. Is very proficient at training in weapons handling. So if you wanted to get more familiar with your weapons and take a class, some safety classes and some tactical courses, Alfonso can help you out with that. We have some other people that are in this group that have, you know, connections to and backgrounds in law enforcement that can help with weapons training and that sort of thing. So, you know, any of these kind of things, if you have an interest or a need, we can find the resources within our network right here to get you what you need and make you better prepared so that when things happen, it's not your disaster. It's just your story. And that's great stuff. Thank you, Leah and Paul, for spending some time with me in this net. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and shift gears. And while I've got you on the air, Leah and Paul, tell me, Paul, first, what goals and ambitions do you have for 2022?
Well, sir, off the bat, we're just going to try to kind of acquire more items for our family, help our community a little bit more. We actually would like to, we know that not a lot of people can afford North Georgia GMRS sometimes, so what we would like to do for my wife's birthday tomorrow, we'd like to offer a membership, a $100 membership for anybody out there that cannot afford to get that membership.
Very cool, very cool. Well, happy birthday, Leah, and what a great thing. So this is just yet another of the many sponsors that we do have in North Georgia GMRS. So we will definitely put you in the list, Paul, and when we have someone with a need, we will we'll let you know and make that arrangement so that you can cover that need. And you know, Paul and Leah, you're not the only ones that have made this offer. We have a great community here. We have a bunch of loving people, and you know, the spirit here is we don't want to leave anybody behind. Now, some people are going to leave because their interests have changed. This was a novelty. They thought it was cool. They checked it out. It's neat, but they're done, and that's fine. Other people are just going to hang on to their radios, and they're still going to listen, but they're not going to be members, and that's also fine. so they still have the tool in hand if things do get challenging. They just don't have, the network, access like everybody else does. But we're not going to question that if something serious were to happen. We're just going to go with it. But we do appreciate the support of everybody who is able, and very much love this community. So thank you for that. And yeah, growing your supplies sounds like that's what we should all be doing. And not necessarily just having more stuff, but having the right stuff, being prepared. So good stuff. And Leah, happy birthday. Before I ask you about your goals and ambitions, I'd like for you to give me your company name and phone numbers one more time.
So the company name is Alpha Trio Firearms, and my direct number is 678-982-0352, or Paul can be reached at 678-471-2722. And we also offer a little bit of consulting or advice, not only for how to start your prepping, but what to start with, what your most important pieces are, and we also offer some firearms training as well.
And there you have it. So there's just there's almost no end to the resources that are available through Alpha Trio Firearms. And I was able to write both phone numbers down this time, so I have a note here. But if anybody has any questions, Paul is available on the air through a lot of the day. You might have to try him a couple of times if he's busy with something. But I do hear him on the air throughout the day, and of course through the evening. So if you reach out to Atlanta 586 or even Atlanta 587, I think you'll be able to reach one of them and then be able to connect if you need a phone number or if you want to talk with them on the air. I imagine they will be available. And if not, if you can find me, I'll have this this note here, and I'll probably put it in my phone so that I can keep it, because I think I'll be calling Leah and Paul at some point here very soon to so that we can be better prepared. Something more than my 20-pound bag of rice. Probably need a 20-pound bag of rice and a few other things. So. Great stuff. Thank you, Lee and Paul. Oh, Lee, I almost forgot. What are your goals and ambitions for 2022, other than sponsoring a membership? What are you hoping to do in this coming year?
So my goals and ambitions for this year are obviously to help the community, because I believe strongly in fellowship through community. You see a need, you feel a need, you try to help when and where you can. And also, like Paul, my husband, said, just continuing to grow our prepping stuff, because you never know. We could have a harsh winter. We could have some random earthquake here in Georgia. Anything and everything can happen. So we just want to be prepared for the worst and always praying for the best.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Well, thank you, Lee and Paul, so much for being a part of the community. And fellowship is a big deal to me too, and that's kind of what I feel like Thursday night is always been all about. So that's good stuff. And yeah, I love your attitude. If you see a need, jump in and fill that need in whatever way that you can. Use your resources to everyone's benefit as well as your own. So that's good stuff. All right, then. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the top of the list. We had Gainesville 285 CV and Murrayville is in and out this evening, but I'm sure he and Lynn are listening in. That would be Gainesville 286, Lynn in Murrayville. Also listening in this evening is my neighbor, Atlanta 948, Gary, right here in Woodstock, across my backyard, through the gate, up the little hill, around the side of the house to the front door, and there's Gary's house. So I'm sitting in the studio and I'm waving to Gary. He can't see me, but He's been a great neighbor to have for these last 12 years. Next on my list is Atlanta 253, Donald in Blairsville. Donald, tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022. Atlanta 253, Donald in Blairsville. Tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022. All right, not hearing anything from Donald. I'm going to go ahead. Can I get the words out, coherently? I am going to go ahead and show him in and out. There we go, of the log tonight. So thank you, Donald, for checking in with us, and we'll move on next to Atlanta 299, Steve in Roswell. Steve, can you tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022, and how many do we have signed up for this? It's next week, I believe, for ham testing?
Well, it's funny you should ask that because we only have one, and so I'm going to actually drop out of the session for this weekend. I've been a little under the weather with the latest variant, but I'm recovering and doing very well. But as far as my what's coming for the year, I've got a heavy plate ahead of me. I'm the activities director now for the North Fulton Amateur Radio League, and also got elected as Ham of the Year. And I have to do Tech Talk every Monday night and CW Chat on Wednesday nights. So I guess my big thing is trying to be able to do all of that and do a reasonable job of it. The reason I've been thrown into all of that is my Elmer, Jim Stafford, W4QO, passed. He passed recently, and so a lot of things got thrown on my plate. But that's the whole thing for me. As far as being prepared and things like that, I've lived that way for quite a while, and it's not something that I think about anymore because I've lived that way for quite a while, and don't really have to do anything to get prepared except on a continual basis. But anyway, yeah, we only have one for, and I don't know if it's because of the virus or whatever, but because of my infection, I decided that it'd be best if I didn't go to the session Saturday. Back to you, Justin.
Well, I guess that's how we find out how much people contribute to the community, and that is all the things that need to be done when they're no longer available to do them. Like, for instance, when an active member passes away, and all those tasks fall upon the remaining members. And what a challenge you face there, Steve. But congratulations on Ham of the Year. That's a pretty cool title and a nice honor. And so I guess you're up to the task of filling those roles. I don't want to say what's the word I'm looking for. I guess I'm sorry to hear that you've been afflicted by the virus. But it sounds as though we're at a place where people aren't being as affected quite as severely. I say that right after my close friend spent 25 days in the hospital, nearly died from this crazy virus. But more and more people are being affected by it, afflicted by it, and but are recovering successfully. So I'm glad to hear that you're on the mend and can maybe be back for the next test session. So, and the other thing I'm hearing, Steve, is that we have a number of available spots in this coming test session. So if anyone who is interested and has done some studying and is prepared, just go to the website there at the North Fulton Amateur Radio League search that on your browser and go to I believe it's the Activities tab, and you can find information about the upcoming test session. And I'm going to speak for you, Steve. I believe you're probably still asking for $15 to cover your materials and costs associated with the testing because the FCC fees have not changed yet. I imagine that's probably going to be $50 when we add in our $15 for the materials and supplies and the $35 for the FCC fee. So save yourself some money and get your license sooner rather than later. We know the fee schedule is changing. We just don't know when. We've been anticipating our GMRS fees going down for quite some time. But at the same time, the ham testing fees are going to go up. So anybody in pursuit of an amateur license or an upgrade, test session is available. Not this Saturday, but the next one. It's the second Saturday of the month, I believe. So, but go to the North Fulton Amateur Radio League webpage and get more information about that. And yeah, Steve, it sounds like you've got a busy year coming. Next, I've got Atlanta 434 Ron incoming. Ron, what are your goals and ambitions for 2022?
This is Atlanta 434. Well, Justin, I've got a lot of things going on here at the house. Closing in partial my garage to turn it into what you would call a playroom, I guess. Set up my billiard table and, maybe a card table, some darts, and some other fun activities to do in this extra space. And then eventually build an external garage. Of course, I got to get approval from the HOA on that one, but those are part of my goals. I do want to comment a little bit on the prepper subject. I do run a group. Me and a good friend of mine get together with some other like-minded individuals in the local community, and we train, practice, learn all things prepping, including firearms training and things of that nature. We are interested in having other people join us that are local to the community. We like to get together at least once a week and do a little bit of learning on stuff like canning, meal prep, long-term food storage, water purification, all those types of things that you would need to know if you were sort of, out in the wilderness or whatever, or if you had to get out of your home for a little while, or if you were stuck out of your home for a little while. We also make sure that everybody has what we call a get-home bag in their vehicles at all times, which has all those safety things that you were talking about earlier. But yeah, that's another a big deal for me. I've been prepping for a very short time, and I've got some food storage started. I've got a whole bunch of other things started that I need to spend a little bit more time on.
Well, there we go. There's another resource for being prepared. And again, that's the difference between a disaster and a story. He mentioned canning. I know that David 721 and Lisa 722 are also they do a lot of canning, that's a great way to lower the cost on having a stock of good quality food that's available in the event that you can't make it to the market. If you've got a resource of canned goods, then you can eat quality meals, and not freeze-dried, dehydrated stuff, but good quality food for a period of time that way. So that's good stuff. So, that's. Let me break here briefly. That's a little tickle in my throat. Sorry about that. But that's a kind of a lost art in terms of, I don't know that there's a lot of people in my generation that do very much canning. I don't know the first thing about it. I'm not sure that Julie does either. But I know that my mom had canned foods for years and years, and even in her later years, did some limited canning. And in that she would, you know, in an afternoon she would can more food than she could eat in a year, and so would end up giving 2/3 of it away. But you know, it just I think that's a skill that maybe many of us need to consider developing, because that it is expensive buying these prepackaged survival food kits that, you know, this box of food will feed 2 people for 7 days or whatever it is. You know, it's expensive to buy it that way, and maybe canning is a good option. So I'm glad you brought that up, Ron. It's a great suggestion. And you know, closing in a garage, that's the space I'm in right now. This used to be a garage, and the previous owner had closed it off and turned it into, for him it was an office space. He did fences and decks, and this was his office space for that business. For us, it's been a number of things over the years, but now it is the studio, and we're actually going to move the studio to a new space here this year. So we're going to vacate this area and turn it into sort of an extra bedroom. So it looks like 947 and I will be occupying this space for bedroom for the near future. So good stuff, Ron. Good luck with those 2 projects, closing in the garage and building a detached garage, and appreciate your comments with the preparedness. Next I have Atlanta 810 John in Dawsonville and 811 Victoria in Dawsonville. Who's going to come on the air first and tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022?
Justin, it's 810. I'm currently holding my 9-month-old, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'd like to obtain a ham license this year. I know that you had mentioned the price goes up here shortly, so it looks like that'll be a goal I need to obtain pretty quickly. And then looking for advancement at my job this year. I've been there for about 10 years, and I think it's time to advance within the same company, but still advance and do something different there.
Good stuff. Well, one word of advice in pursuit of your ham license. While you're studying for the technician material, go ahead and spend a little bit of time on the general. Because what I didn't know when I went in to test for my ham license, I went in and Julie and I both went in together, and it's fun to study with your spouse. Just, you know, as information, Victoria, you know, this can be a fun thing that the 2 of you can do. When Julie and I went in to test, we didn't know that when we completed our technician and passed our technician exam, that we were going to be offered free of charge the opportunity to take the general. So neither one of us had done any preparation for the general. I took the test and I missed it by 1 question. I could have been a general at that point in time, and Julie didn't do very well on it either. But neither one of us had looked at any of the material for general. We had only looked at technician. So once you've studied and you're comfortable with the technician material, spend some time with the general, and hopefully you can get both of those at one sitting. And you know, it's not unheard of to do the hat trick. Atlanta 123 is my favorite story. He sat down to take the technician test, and before he left, he was an extra. So that is also a possibility. But I highly encourage those 2 things. 1, study together, and 2, study more than the technician, and hope that things go well with the career and advancing there. That can be its own set of challenges, but I know that you're up for it, and good luck with that. Let's hear what Victoria has to say for 2022.
2022 is to try and get a job in my home county. Right now I'm teaching in Fulton County, which is about an hour away from the house. So I would love to be able to teach a lot closer to where I live. It would let the boys be able to go to the school that they're supposed to go to instead of having to get in the car with me and ride an hour each way to their school. And that's really, other than keeping the family happy and healthy, the only goals that I have going into next year, or this year, I guess.
That's yeah, and we've talked about that before. I think that's a great idea. You know, when our kids were little, we wanted to kind of keep tabs on what was going on with the school and what was going on with the kids. So my wife began volunteering at the school, and they got tired of not being able to control her, so they hired her. So she was in Fort Wayne. She was well, it's what they would have considered a parapro here. They had her working closely with several of the teachers, and in a couple of seasons she spent with some special needs children as their personal assistant, more or less, interpreter and things of that nature. Had some special needs kids in the elementary school there that needed a little extra help in going through their class periods, and so Julie did some of that as well. And so nothing better than being employed at the school that your children attend. Now, they will hate it, but as parents, it's great to have personal relationships with the staff and have a heads up on things that are going on in the classroom in a way far more intimate than you can get if you're going to a parent-teacher conference. So I hope that you are able to get that job close to home. And wouldn't it be cool if it were at the same school the kids go to? So I think that's great stuff. Well, good luck with that, Victoria, and good luck with the studies there. Hope that John's able to talk you into being a study partner. Next on my list is Atlanta 538. Rob incoming. Rob, can you tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022?
Hey, good evening, Justin, and good evening to the rest of the net. My goals are pretty simple, and it's kind of the same goal as every year, but I never really make it. We got to lose some weight, man. It's getting out of control. It seems like when we were in our 20s, my wife and I, we could eat anything we wanted, and we pretty much did, and when we turned 30, all that went away, so now it's getting out of control, and we got to drop some pounds. We started to make some changes with our diet, and we're doing some exercise, so we're on the right track. We just got to stay on the right track and keep doing the exercise and getting good habits, and put down the ice cream and the sodas and the potato chips and the McDonald's and all the stuff that's amazing and fun, but will kill you slowly. Other than that, I'm just like everybody else here that hasn't done it yet. I've got to get my technician license. I'm hooked. GMRS is a gateway drug. So hopefully I've set aside some time to study this next couple of months, and as soon as I can, I'm going to get in there and take the technician test. Other than that, business as usual this year. Back to you, Net Control.
All right. Well, I would offer the same advice while you're studying for your technician there. Spend some time with the general material. And, like I say, when I sat down to test, I missed that general by one question. Had I got one more right, then I would have had them both under my belt in that first sitting. And I didn't know. No one had told me. And like you say, GMRS is indeed a gateway to other radio habits. And that's very much what 947 and we fell in love with GMRS radio, and that's piqued our interest in amateur radio. And so there's so many opportunities in amateur radio that can be a lot of fun. There's just no end. There's just literally no end to how you can apply amateur radio to various other hobbies. If you're into racing, if you're into off-roading, if you're into you're talking about exercise, diet and exercise. If you decide to do some 5Ks, well, a lot of the volunteer groups that are supporting those races, those 5K races, are using amateur radio for communications. So, and there's opportunities to volunteer at those events as well. There's just there's literally no end to how you can apply the amateur radio hobby to other hobbies and other interests. So good luck with that. And, I completely get it. Julie and I were just talking about how, we used to come home and after dinner while we're sitting watching a movie, we would have a bowl of ice cream every stinking night. Every night we would have a bowl of ice cream while we're watching TV. Well, these days, not only do we not eat the ice cream, but instead of sitting and watching TV, we load up the dogs and we go over to the high school campus and we walk around the grounds with the dogs. So we're not cramming calories into our face, and we're getting some exercise. And, when it's decent out, what we'd like to do is kind of pick up the pace and walk at an accelerated pace. These days we're pretty casual in our steps because, well, it's cold outside. Maybe that's the reason we should be picking up our pace. I'll have to think about that. But in any case, that I think is probably the most powerful thing that you can do is don't worry about your diet. Change your lifestyle. Get out from in front of that TV and do something else. And if you can do something that keeps you from shoveling potato chips into your face or ice cream or cakes or, whatever, that's all the better. But if you're doing anything at all and not sitting in front of that TV, I think you benefit from that a lot. The TV does us far more harm, I think, than we ever realized, and we blame it on the food. But I think that the TV kind of encourages us to sit and nibble on that food, and so that's my thing. I know that my life changed a lot when I got away from the TV. And it's not good enough to just get away from the TV and sit down behind the computer, because I'll sit and nibble and snack on stuff while I'm sitting here at the computer too. So that's part of my problem is I've got no self-control when it comes to snacking while I'm here. Whatever the screen is, seems like having a screen in front of me means I got to eat something, and that's bad news. But good stuff. Good luck with all of that, Rob, and I hope that you have a great 2022. Next on my list is Gainesville, 117, Damon in Murrayville. Damon, what are your goals and ambitions for 2022?
This is Gainesville 117. Thanks, Justin. My goals for 2022 is to keep doing what I'm doing from 2021. In July, I had a heart attack, and it changed my lifestyle, just what you were just talking about. And trying to get back in shape like I was in school and all that, and just to be healthier and happier. And you have to do, like you said, change your lifestyle and things. Let me break. So getting back on the track with that and getting heart healthy with my diet and exercise, and then just maintaining around the house, the family, the in-laws, modifying anything that needs to be done. Also trying to move up the ladder in my coaching career at the high school. So I got a lot of ambitions as far as that goes. I want to be around the kids, teach them new tricks, make them learn, and teach them some life lessons that they can take on outside of school. That's one thing that I'm planning on trying to do. But the main goal is the health issues. That's what we all got to strive for.
No, that's for sure, and that's something that's so easy to kind of fall back on. Just like Rob was talking, you kind of fall into a routine, and you have the ice cream, and you have the snacks, and you settle in behind the TV, and you're not active anymore. And I think that so many of us develop health risks because of our lifestyle habits, and man, turning that TV off, I think, is a life. That's the one single thing that we can do that can have the greatest impact on our health and our life is just turning that stupid thing off and getting away from it. Now, trading the TV for the computer isn't any good, and that's part of what I do. But you gotta find something that's going to get you out of the house, moving and doing something other than being sedentary, sitting around in your butt. You gotta get moving, and that's the key. So I used to be pretty good at that, and then I've kind of fallen into some bad habits again. But I've got enough projects on my plate right now with moving the studio and my in-laws moving in that I won't be able to sit around very much for the next probably 6 months. So that's good stuff. Have a project. Find a project. Build a building, or just find something that's just going to occupy a lot of your time and make you get out of a chair and do something. So glad to hear that you have recovered from that heart episode, and that you've found ways to change your lifestyle and make some improvements. And yeah, I think those are great goals. The coaching career, step that up a notch, and I spent some time when my son was in high school with the high school marching band, and I very much enjoyed being around those kids during those years, but I have no ambition to do it anymore. I think that's pretty cool that there are people that are wired for and geared toward educating kids. It's not something that I think that I could do for very long. So great stuff. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I've got Atlanta 780 Houston and Powder Springs. Houston, what are your goals and ambitions for 2022?
Hi, good evening, Justin. Good evening to the rest of the net. I guess the only ambition I got is to get back into the house and get out of a camper. Talking about prepping, we had a middle room full of stuff that we had to get rid of because of the fire, so we'll have to get it built back up when we get into a place where we can have it again. But other than that, I don't know that we've got any ambitions or other than just making it one more year.
Well, little by little, and it sounds like they have made some progress on the house, but it's kind of stalled again. I heard you make mention of something with a foundation issue. Going to have to have the engineers come in and take a look at that. Hopefully that's not too major a setback, but at least they found it now, rather than when this work is all done and something happens. That's, I guess, maybe the difference between it being your expense and your problem versus the insurance companies. So hopefully they'll get that taken care of for you, and you won't have to deal with it 2 years down the road. So lemonade out of lemons, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, take it year by year, and we'll get through this one and see what the next one has, and we'll go from there. But yeah, getting back into the house, I would think, would be a big goal for you, and I hope that you're able to accomplish that, and Mona as well. So great hearing from you, Houston, and I look forward to chatting with you again. Next on my list is McDonough 22, Tim in Stockbridge. Let's see if Tim has a minute to spend with us and tell us about his goals and ambitions for 2022.
Good evening, Justin, and the rest of the net there. I was able to stick around here. It won't be for much longer, but I made it after all here. So goals and ambitions for 2022. I'm kind of like Houston. I don't have any grandiose plans or anything. He's just wanting to get back in his house, my transmission went out in my work truck, so my ambition right now is trying to figure out a way to get that fixed, and it's going to cost a bunch of money I ain't got. And then my Windows went out on me on my computer, and I didn't have product key for it, so I'm kind of using a borrowed Windows right now. I'm trying to get figured out how to get reloaded and get my Windows back up and running with a legitimate copy of Windows. As to the prep thing, I've got minimal preparation. I could probably last maybe a couple of weeks if the stuff hit the fan, I guess you say. But I don't have any. It takes a lot of money to do this stuff. I heard him mention earlier. It costs money. So you have to go according to what you can afford. So I pretty much got all the preparations that I can afford set aside, and just depend on the good Lord for the rest. I guess that's about it, Justin.
Well, yeah, and it does. It can be expensive to buy especially if you're buying the prepackaged, freeze dried. Just add water and heat it up, and you've got your meal stuff. We don't have any of that, and I think that we should have some. But I wouldn't want that to be the only thing that we had to rely on. If we had to rely on prepared food stocks for a period of time. So I like the idea of canned foods, and I'm not talking about supermarket in a canned foods. I'm talking about canning and preserving food yourself, and you can get some great deals on meats at some of these warehouse stores, and even our local butcher has some pretty good deals at times. You just have to be kind of on the lookout for it and ready to jump when it's available. And when you can buy that stuff and have a way to preserve it and have it safe to eat for a period of time, not just throw it in the freezer. That's good for a year, maybe if you've got it sealed properly. But I would like to be able to, if the power goes out, that frozen food isn't going to last but a few days. So that's not really a good answer either. But if you can can some meats, then you don't care if the freezer has gone out. You've got something that you can make a quality meal with good nutritional value that will sustain a hard day's work for a period of time. That's the kind of stuff we need. And maybe some of these freeze-dried, just add water and heat packages will do some of that. But I think that if we can do it ourselves, we can know what the quality is, and we can be confident in what we have, and probably do it a lot cheaper than the prepackaged stuff. So that's one thing to think of. And I don't have any answers for you for your transmission. That's expensive. We had transmission troubles with Julie's Jeep, and that was nearly $3,000. It's one of those things that just, what are you going to do? You got to have the vehicle, so you almost just have to pay for it, put it on a card or something, and then figure out how to get it paid for down the road, because you just can't be very long without the vehicle. It keeps you from being able to work, and it keeps you from being able to be productive. And so I don't have a good answer for you for that. As far as your Windows machine, man, I don't know. That's another thing I hate spending money on. But you can buy a refurbished computer for $100 off of Amazon just about any time you want to. So don't spend a lot of money trying to get that old machine running. If you can just replace it fairly cheaply, maybe you can get your files moved. Somebody might be able to help you out to get that machine up and running up on the short term with, even if you don't have a valid Windows key, maybe you can get it up running long enough to get your documents off of it. hopefully you've got that stuff backed up somewhere, but who knows. Well, good luck with all of that, Tim, and I hope that you have a great 2022. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Atlanta 417. William in Auburn was in and out with us this evening. Thanks again, William, for listening in. Great to know that you're there. We also have McDonough 39. Bruce in Stockbridge is in and out with us this evening. So thanks, Bruce, for your check-in tonight. And that brings me next to our canning expert extraordinaire, Atlanta 721, David in Southwest Paulding County. David, what are your goals and ambitions for 2022?
Good evening, Justin, and good evening to everyone on the net. I will have to renounce my throne to Lisa on that one. She is a canning expert. She has taught me that there is nothing you cannot can. Beef, pork, we pretty much do it all. And I would like to echo something you were saying about the Mountain House or the packaged foods. They all have their place. The only problem is a lot of that stuff has really high sodium, and if you've got high blood pressure, it's not good for you. MREs, Mountain Houses, they're great for short term. The Mountain Houses are great to put in your vehicle. They're not affected by temperature. But the canning is ultimately the long-term storage. Matter of fact, we just opened a jar of carrots from 2013, and they tasted like we jarred them yesterday. It's an amazing thing to be able to put things back, like you said, that it has a great nutrition value to it versus a packaged type deal in whatever state. But it's a great deal to get into canning and prepping, and the meats are there. Costco's pork is $1.99 a pound right now, so it's out there. You just got to do a little bit of shopping.
Yeah, that's been our experience too. Is that for the longest time we got all of our meats from Kroger, and decent stuff. But as soon as I learned what hamburger tastes like when you get it from the butcher store versus what it tastes like coming from Kroger, holy cow! I'm done with Kroger. That's it. I'm not going to buy that again. Yeah, I know it's a little bit more money to get it from, but the difference in taste and texture is amazing. I mean, the Kroger hamburger tastes like the kind of hamburger you get when you go to McDonald's, whereas the butcher store hamburger tastes like the kind of hamburger you get when you go to one of those fancy restaurants and you get one of those $12 hamburgers. I mean, it costs a little bit more. It costs double sometimes, but it's a world of difference in terms of quality. And so it is a matter of shopping around and learning what's out there, and not necessarily, I mean, the other thing that I've come to learn is that, like, when you buy hamburger from Kroger, it's not just, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in it other than beef. It's not that they're taking a cut of beef and running it through a grinder. They're taking that beef and whatever is there with it, all the fats, some of the tendons, some of the softer, not quite bone tissue, but every now and then I've found pieces of bone in my hamburger. So, they're grinding stuff up other than hamburgers. They're allowed to have a certain amount of filler that they can put in with the beef. And, when you go to the butcher shop and that butcher's reputation stands on the quality that he delivers, then you don't end up with pieces of bone in your hamburger. So, and if you do, that's the last time you'll buy from that butcher. You'll go down the street to the next one where you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. So, when you pay a little bit more for that better product, you get way better product. So, I think that's a big difference. And I think some of the Costco meats and Sam's Club meats are far and above beyond what you're going to buy at Kroger. So that's been my experience. And like David says, you got to shop around because those deals are out there, and you can buy good quality stuff from places other than where we usually get them. So, good stuff. And yeah, you know, and that's something too that I've come to learn, not necessarily from personal experience, but from hearing David and others talk about canning, is that you can can just about anything. You know, I had always known about canning vegetables because that's what my family did. But it never really occurred to me that you can can, you know, things like meat, despite the fact that in the town where I grew up, there's a cannery, and that's what they do is they can chicken and pork and beef. I've known dozens of people that have worked at that place through the years, and I've had their product through the years. It's been good stuff. And somebody mentioned to me that when I go back to Fort Wayne, they don't understand why I'm not loading a trunk load of Grable meats up and taking them back to Georgia with me, because it's great canned food and it's relatively inexpensive, especially compared to some of the other brands of canned meats that you can get. So, yeah, it's something I probably should do. I just haven't. And that would also contribute to my preparedness. So, good stuff, David. Glad to have you in here tonight. And thanks for dragging Paul into the mix here. I'm glad that you were able to get him hooked on radio and get him in the group. And I think he's a huge asset. I had no idea that we had such a great resource within the ranks here. So I plan on paying a visit to Paul and Leah sometime very soon. Next on my list is, let's see, where am I at? Next on my list is Atlanta 532 Tom in Flowery Branch. Tom is in and out tonight. Let's see, I have missed something somewhere. There we go. That's where it is. Tom is in and out tonight, so thanks for your check-in, Tom. That's going to bring me to the one that I missed, was Gainesville, 120 Emmeline in Murrayville. Emmeline is also in and out tonight, so we're going to say thank you to Emmeline and to Damon for bringing her on the air. It's great to hear that voice. That brings me next, out of order and roundabout, to Atlanta 1107, John. John, where are you checking in from? All right. All right, looks like John is in Marietta. John, are you there? Atlanta 1107. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to show John as in and out in tonight's log, and that will bring me next to Atlanta 750, Jeff in Waleska. Jeff was in and out tonight, so thanks, Jeff, for your check-in. Great to hear from you. That brings me next to Atlanta 42, Andre in Winder. Andre is also in and out tonight, so thank you, Andre, for your check-in. Glad to know you're listening in. And that brings me to Chattanooga 55, Doug in Eastridge, also in and out, so thank you, Doug, for your check-in. And next on my list is Atlanta 1402, Todd incoming. Todd, can you tell me about your goals and ambitions for 2022?
Hey, Justin, and everybody else in the nest. Well, just want to be a better husband, father, good person. Let me break. And hopefully navigate my company through another year of COVID. And speaking of the prepping and the canned goods, my mom and dad, they had a big garden and they always canned food, and I had never learned about canning meat until I met my wife and went up to see her grandmother up in West Virginia, and they were canning fresh pork and cattle, and it was the best stuff I ever ate.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how, you know, that canned meat can really retain so much flavor and nutrition. It is. I tell you, David brings up a valid point though, because I recall from the Graybill meats, there's a lot of salt in that, and more so I think than you have when you can it at home. But and so that's another health point there, is that if you're relying on the prepackaged stuff, you have to consider it's not just the calories, it's the quality of those calories, and I for one don't care for that much salt on my food. I rarely salt my food. I generally eat it as it comes to the table. Very rarely do I add salt to French fries. I do that. I don't know how you can eat French fries without them being loaded with salt. That seems to be an absolute. That's like potato chips without salt. Why would you even do that? I don't understand. I don't understand that. But for our general diet stuff, I don't like to have a lot of salt in my food. And I'm not necessarily because of my blood pressure. That flavor is not something that I crave. And so I salt and pepper shaker come to the table, I generally ignore them. So something we should definitely keep in mind. And the home canning is something that we can do to not only lower the costs of having preserved food, but also improve the quality. So good stuff, Todd. Tell the kids good night for us, Atlanta 1403 and Atlanta 1404. Glad they were able to check in tonight, so thank them. And glad that they were here for a while. Next on my list is Atlanta 1140, Troy in Covington. Troy, do you have any goals and ambitions you'd like to share for 2022? Atlanta 1140, Troy. Are you still there with us? All right, I'm going to go ahead and show Troy as in and out on our log this evening. And thank you, Troy, for checking in tonight. Glad that you were able to make it. Hope you're still listening in. And look forward to chatting with you again sometime very soon. And that brings me next to Atlanta 69, Michael in Midtown. Michael is in and out tonight. Great to hear from you, Michael. You're sounding fantastic from the middle of Atlanta. And that brings me to Atlanta 800, Chad in Adairsville. Chad, do you have any goals and ambitions for 2022 you'd like to share?
Good evening, Justin, rest of the net. I grew up in a family that believed in being prepared, so that's kind of been an ongoing thing for me. I grew up learning one is none, and failing to plan is planning to fail. So communications was just kind of the next evolution for me. So my goal for this year is to finally get this shack finished out. I've got hard line run up the mountain and antennas hung and getting close to having this thing up and running, and just continuing to improve on communication skills.
Yes. One is none is a phrase that brings me back to my youth, days on the farm, when, something as simple as a set of wrenches. You got a set of wrenches, that's great. What are you going to use to hold the bolt while you turn the nut? You can't get it done with one. You need, like he says, one is none, and so you need to have enough of a resource to make it viable. Something like a set of wrenches or any other basic tools. You need to have multiples of everything to be able to do anything. And when you have the one and the one has failed, then then you're in a bind. But if you have a backup, if you have, a plan B, if you have some redundancy, and a lot of times that redundancy is pretty inexpensive, then you can get through a crisis without having to stop what you're doing and regroup. So, yeah, that's a phrase that brings me back to my youth. And now we've come full circle to my career on the railroad, where they have come up with this concept of what is it? It's core minus one. So core minus one means figure out how many people it takes to do a job, and then do that job with one less man. And what their point is that you can still get the job done. You'll just have one guy who's not standing around as much. And the reality is a little bit different than that. And that is that you have put a lot more stress on the remaining people that are there, and it affects their productivity, it affects their mentality, it affects a lot of things in ways that they just management just doesn't appreciate. So yeah, they're still able to run a railroad with core minus one, but there's a lot of things wrong with that, and I just don't subscribe to that theory in any way, shape, or form. I just personally, I think that's horrible. And now that has come to the place where, in my department, my group has diminished down to 5 people, and of the 5 people, there are only 2 people in my group that do the work that I do. The rest of the people in my group do something pretty different from what I do. So the work that I do is our database work. I create the database that drives the dispatching system. So when a dispatcher wants to line a signal for a train, I create the devices that the dispatcher will select and will manipulate to be able to generate the data that gets transmitted to the field to line a signal up for the movement of a train or throw a switch for a route of a train. That's the work that I do. And so there's 2 of us that do that work. And I just learned this week that one of the 2 of us have resigned. So I'm the only one left. It's going to be an interesting year. I mean, as it is, I can probably do the work that is laying in front of us, because our workload has diminished. So I can probably do that work, going into the next year. But if our workload increases, and eventually it will, that's just the nature of things, I'm not going to have time to train. I'm not going to have time to teach somebody how to do this. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Core minus one. I think it's a terrible concept. And it's the exact opposite of being prepared. It is preparing for failure. Core minus one is the steps that you take just before you give up. And that's what I feel like the management of the railroad has done. Is, they're not trying to advance the railroad. They're just trying to satisfy shareholders. And I don't think those 2 things can be done in a sustainable way. So. But that's my departure from your topic. Well, good stuff, Chad, and hopefully the advancement in preparation opportunities and communication skills comes your way, and I look forward to hearing you on the air a little bit more. Your signal is sounding great from Covington, by the way, so glad to have you in here. All right, and that brings me next to Atlanta 403. 403 is Bobby in White County, having some comms trouble tonight. I don't know what kind of weather he's got over there, but Bobby is in and out with us tonight, monitoring on Zello and watching the YouTube feed, which appears to still be playing. Hope I didn't just jinx it, but I'm sure Bobby will let me know if we have any hiccups there. Excuse me. Thank you, Bobby, for what you do for me, and I appreciate your help along the way. Next I have Blue Ridge 24, Don in Blairsville. Don is in and out with us this evening, so thank you, Don, for checking in and hanging out. Glad to know you're there. Also, I have Atlanta 292, Derek in Rockmart. Derek is probably at the fire station, and he is in and out tonight. Appreciate you listening in, Derek, and hope that all is going well for you, and that you have a fantastic 2022. And that brings me to Chattanooga 100, Bob in Ringgold. Bob, do you have any goals and ambitions you'd like to share for 2022? Chat 100, Bob, are you still with us, or were you in and out? All right, I'm going to show Bob as in and out tonight, and thanks for your check-in tonight, Bob. Great to have you along, and hope that you have a great 2022. That brings me next to Atlanta 442, Craig in Ackworth. Craig is in and out tonight, tinkering about in his shop while he listens to the net. Craig, thanks for your check-in tonight, and I hope that you have a great 2022. That is the end of my roster. So at this time, I will open the floor for any questions or comments, any additional check-ins. Net control standing by.
This is Atlanta 1140. This is Troy. I'm sorry I missed you on your key in there.
Oh, that's all right, Troy. You want to go ahead and jump in now with your goals and ambitions for 2022 and any other comments that you have?
Well, my main thing is as a newcomer to GMRS is to obviously get some better radios for better transmission. I'm actually talking on a handheld right now, and I tried to key in on Zello, but that apparently did not work.
Yeah, Zello it's a useful tool, and there's a lot of things that are really good about Zello, but Zello's tough to use in a net situation. And what I find is many times when I go to key on Zello, is I'll get an alert that says that I've tried to send too many empty messages in too short a time, and it'll put me in timeout for 2 minutes. And so if you're trying to key in to a net and it does that, then that might be what happened to you. So yeah, it's a good tool and it's worth having. There's a lot of things you can do with Zello. One of my favorite things to do with Zello is if I have any question about what my signal sounds like to the rest of the community, as I can key up, and then I can go back and play that back on Zello and hear what it sounded like. So that is a useful function. Some folks will use Zello for that very thing, to do a self-radio test. They'll come on and do a radio check, and then they'll say, no response required. I'm going to listen to it on Zello. And so, you know, that's something that is available as well. So, but now that we've got you in here, so other than maybe improving your radio equipment, do you have any other goals or ambitions for 2022?
Well, like most people, trying to stay safe and take care of family and home and work and being prepared. Really appreciate that couple's information that started the show earlier. I will be giving them a call and patronizing them. We appreciate their support.
Yeah, and you know, as we've heard, they're not the only ones in this community that provide you know, resources in terms of prepping and training and that sort of thing. So there are other resources available, and but you know, as far as having product available, I think that Paul and Leah have a very broad assortment of things that you can acquire through their company. And it sounds to me like if they don't carry it and you have a need for it, they'll find a vendor and make it available. So I think that's an interesting resource to have, and people like that often make contacts and have resources that may not be readily aware of, but through the course of conversation you may discover that there's far more available than what meets the eye. So I think that for them to sit and list the things that they can offer might be challenging to do, because they'll leave a significant portion of their offering out of that conversation. And I think that for a company like theirs, we just need to engage them and see what they can do, and go forward from there. So I'm excited about developing a relationship there, personally, and I'm also excited about that opportunity that it presents for the radio community here. And Troy, I just want to take a moment too to thank you. I think this is the first time that I've checked you in, and just want to say welcome to North Georgia GMRS, and we're glad to have you along. Glad that you were able to get in tonight, and definitely look forward to going on this journey of acquiring new and better equipment as we go, and learning along the way. So welcome.
586.
Yeah, you said my audio was low. Is that still the case there? Still catching a low audio?
Yeah, stand by one moment here, Paul. Yeah, Troy, your audio is low. I didn't notice. Are you coming in? What repeater are you coming in on?
Yeah, I'm coming in on the Jersey repeater.
All right. So part of the low audio is probably because of the transit through the link. We do tend to lose some audio through the link. If I were, I don't know, if I were on a different radio, you might not sound as low. But with the headphones on, I tend to hear. I'm able to pull things out of the distance better with the headphones on, and that's what it sounds to me. Is that I'm hearing you, really low in relationship to everything else. Part of that is probably the link, but some of it may be your radio too. So we'll just have to, at some point, we'll have to get you on the flagship machine, or I'll have to find a way to get to the Jersey repeater. I can't hit it from here, and have somebody that's on the same repeater as you give you a better evaluation of what your radio sounds like. So it's a bit of an unfair advantage when you're coming in over the link. It works. It's just harder for us to hear sometimes. So you may hear a lot of people complain about low audio, and it may not be your radio at all. It may just be in a link, and there's not much to be done for that. There are some adjustments that can be made, but those adjustments come at the cost of sacrificing other values. So we kind of try to run most of that stuff at a net zero, gain level. So good stuff, Troy. Glad to have you in here, and let's see what 586 has for us. Go ahead, Paul.
I was just kind of reevaluate. We really kind of do a little bit of everything. We're not professionals by any means. We don't know everything there is to know. We do take classes. I've actually taught classes. I actually used to be a security contractor for the DOD. So, we do offer training and stuff like that. Survival is a really big part of our lives, and it's been a big part of our lives for a long time. And we'd be willing to do anything we can for anybody else, especially this community, like we were talking about earlier when we first got on. So, I don't know the new guy. I don't need to say the new guy, but just trying to do what we can. Like I said, we don't know everything, but we're always there for everybody in this community.
Well, good stuff. And yeah, I think that that in time we'll all learn a little bit more about this. And I tell you, excuse me there. Sorry about that. A big part of what drove me to want to engage you and Lee in this conversation tonight is the root of what so many of us have come to GMRS Radio for. So many of us have come here because we're looking for an alternative communications tool, because if our primary phone system goes down, we still want to be able to reach out to important people in our lives, our spouses, other family members, close friends, etc. And GMRS offers that in an incredibly reliable way. So with that being said, I mean, that's kind of, whether we intended to be a prepper or not, that's kind of the root of what brought us all together, is preparing for that pending telephone failure. And so here we are together doing this radio thing, and there are other things that we can engage that have a very common functionality. And now that we're prepared in terms of communications, are we prepared in terms of defense? Are we prepared in terms of sustaining ourselves for a period of time nutritionally? Are we prepared for sustaining ourselves for a period of time for water? Do we have drinking water? Do we have water that we can bathe with? Do we have a way to acquire that water? Are you talking about going down to the river with buckets? Or do you have some sort of a vessel that you can contain water in? Are you capturing rainwater? Maybe a combination of these things. Maybe you got a stack of 1/2 liter water bottles stacked up in your garage. You need something. And what you need for yourself is something that you have to decide what makes sense in your lifestyle, in your circumstance. I mean, maybe you don't need to have 100 cases of water stacked up in your garage if you've got a river that flows in your backyard. But maybe you do need to have a supply of water if you don't have ready access to such a thing. So it's going to be a different scenario for all of us, and we're all preparing for different scenarios and situations. Leah had mentioned the end times. I hope I'm not around for that. but what if we are? Because I'll tell you, if the end times came, I am not prepared. I'm not prepared to sustain, myself for anything more than a few weeks. So if it's the rapture, baby, I hope I'm gone. That's about all I can say, because if I'm not gone, I'm in trouble. We are in trouble in a lot of ways. So it's all a matter of what is appropriate for you individually and in your family, and what you think you can make that work. Let me break. So with that in mind, we are again at the end of our list of check-ins. I'll stand by once again for any other comments or any late check-ins. Net Control standing by.
Somebody's walking on you, Justin. I'm not sure what's going on up there, but they're blocking out about half your signal.
This is 586, Justin. You still there?
Indeed, I am.
Sorry, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, got a little technical difficulty here, but I think we'll get past it. So, as I said, Net Control standing by for any late check-ins. Any questions or comments?
This is Atlanta 57 WQZC 882, Andrew in Holly Springs.
Atlanta 57, Andrew in Holly Springs. Good evening, and do you have any goals or ambitions for 22 you'd like to share?
Well, good evening, Justin, and everybody on the net. Hey, I'd like to keep it going just like last year, at least for my family. Everything was well with us overall, and, if I can keep things going well, that definitely is a plus in my book. So, I'm not going to be too greedy and ask for a whole bunch of things to change. But, hey, if I can just keep everything going the way the family is and we're all good, that's great. So that's kind of my goal. Let's keep it going along steady and easy.
Well, and I have to agree with that. 2021, for all of its challenges, has been a good year for us, and we've gotten through it with a lot of good stories and a lot of good successes and a lot of good health overall. So we've had some bumps along the way, and if 2022 can be an improvement on that, then it will be a very good year. And I have a lot of expectations for 2022 and a lot of ambitions, and I think that we're well on our way to heading in that direction. So I'm excited about what it offers, and I'm very interested in seeing how the year turns out. So with that, any additional late check-ins? Net control standing by.
810 with a comment.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so I got two things. Both of them are related. First off, I have heard from time to time you make jokes on this network that some might refer to as a dad joke. And I think you did it earlier without even realizing, which is pretty unnormal for you. You had mentioned that the quality of beef that you get at a butcher shop, and then you said, yeah, holy cow. I thought that was pretty good there. The second thing on the same topic, if anybody in the Forsyth County or Dawson County areas or surrounding areas are looking for butcher shops, feel free to reach out to me on the radio anytime. There's a couple of them in this area that I frequently visit and get some really good deals from.
Can you come back with your call sign, sir?
This is Atlanta 810, John in Dawsonville.
Thank you, John. We just took that down. This is Atlanta 586 WNY931, Alpha Trio Firearms. Thank you, sir.
Well, that's good stuff, John. And I'll tell you something that 947 and I are looking for from time to time. 2 years ago we bought a beef. We went in with two others and split the cost of a beef in the processing and packaging. And that comes in at around $5-ish a pound to buy it that way. And it's a little expensive for the hamburger, and it's dirt cheap for the steaks. So it just kind of balances out, I guess. So overall, considering how much hamburger there was versus how many steaks there were, I think it ends up being a pretty good deal overall. But if you're going to buy beef to save money, if you're going to buy beef to save money, you're probably not going to win. But the quality of the meat is way different than what you get at the supermarket. I almost said holy cow. But I think dad jokes are just part of my nature.
Your Atlanta 946, you were coming with a humming noise on our end. We could not make you out.
946, you're being walked all over.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're at a point where we may as well close the net. So once we figure out who this is, we'll deal with it appropriately. But with that in mind, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up.
Copy Copy that at 94986.
All right, so this will conclude the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of 36 check-ins, including myself. Net control will now return repeaters to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is, didn't I just say that? This is Atlanta 946, WQYR 514. My name is Justin, and I'm clear.
Thank you, Justin, for everything you provided, all of the information tonight. This is ATL 587 WRMY 931 signing off, mobile and monitoring.
This is Atlanta 810 WRN Q863, and by way of relay, Atlanta 811 WRN Q863, signing out of the net. Everybody have a good evening.
All right, YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with me again tonight.
931. Justin, I appreciate you guys having us on there and give us the time to talk about our company.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight and for what you do every week. So hopefully, whatever that issue was there at the end, we can find and identify and resolve, and we don't have to deal with that again. Not sure what to make of that, actually, but we'll get it sorted out, and we'll keep on with things. Look forward to hanging out with all of you again next week. This is Atlanta 946, WQYR 514. My name is Justin, and we'll talk with you all again very soon. Good night.